Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Yes, indeed, it is the Missing Links Golf Show, and like any great show, there's emotional ups and downs. This pilgrimage is no different. Andy Walker, we're here tonight to talk a bit about your journey / pilgrimage. Are there any emotional ups and downs?
Well, look, let's just say I've got a fair bit to do to catch up with Scotty Scheffler.
True.
I mean, after our Scotty Scheffler Love Fest last week, I mean, you know.
It was really, wasn't it?
I was sort of feeling a bit inspired, but then sort of realised that things weren't exactly going down that path for me. So, you know.
Well, I think the question...
It was a bit of a roller coaster.
I think the question that needs to be asked, though, Andy Walker, is golf who you are, or is golf something that you do?
Well, it's really neither at the moment because I'm not doing a lot.
Oh,
I have to admit, 2025 hasn't been kind to the amount of time I've been playing golf. So hopefully that'll change. But
is that a bit of foreshadowing?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, let's not get down in the dumps just yet, because there was very, very exciting development that took place for you, and that was, I think you might call it, the return to the Mook, Andy Walker, the spiritual homeland.
Yeah, went back down the coast, down to, well, I stayed in Ulladulla, but yeah, the home of Mollymook Golf Club, my old stomping ground, where I played all my junior golf. And I have to say, if anyone is in that part of the world and they haven't been and played Mollymook, especially the Hilltop course, you just need to go and play it. It is a spectacular course. It's been carved effectively out of the bush, the forest, by the guy who designed and built the course, guy by the name of Billy Andriski. And Billy. What a phenomenal,
Billy.
What a phenomenal job he did as well. For someone who really wasn't a golf course architect, he actually produced something that's really quite remarkable. In fact, when I was playing in and around the New South Wales Colts squad, the coach of the New South Wales Colts was Alex Mercer, who's very, very, very well known golf coach. Certainly back sort of 30 years ago, when I was being a bit more serious about the game, and he was Steve Elkington's coach for a little while. So he was the guy who brought Steve Elkington through the junior ranks and sort of got him to sort of tour level. And Alex Mercer, when he visited Mollymook, and certainly what's now the back nine, used to be the front nine. They switched the nines around, probably 20 years or so ago. But Alex Mercer said that certainly the back nine as it is the closest that he had seen to Augusta National in Australia.
I'd believe it.
Now it's actually quite hilly, the back nine, and very, very similar to the sorts of upslopes and downslopes that you get at Augusta.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about Bonneville as the Australian Augusta.
Yep.
I haven't played Bonneville, so I can't talk about that with any first-hand knowledge, but I have played Mollymook on any number of occasions. I mean, as has been well documented, our parents have known each other a long time and lived pretty close down in Mollymook for a while. So we got down there and played a fair bit. And I agree. I mean, what's now the 17th, that par 3 down the hill with, the beautiful gardens just in front of the tee box, and a little bit of water, and then a nicely bunkered green complex down there. And it's not a long hole, it's a short par 3, but it is spectacular. But I think as well, what would be the 10, 11, 12th, that par 3 with the dam to the right-hand side, that's another cracker as well.
Yeah, and over the creek. And that's the thing is that now that they've swapped the nines around, it sort of has its own amen corner because you've got the 10th, which is the par 4, where there's that sort of massive slope down to the green that you've got to contend with for your second with the water over the back. Then you've got this really, really strong par 4 sort of, that sort of winds sort of a little bit left. I wouldn't really say it's a dog leg, but it sort of winds a little bit left.
Wanders a bit left,
with the water all the way down the right-hand side. And then certainly on, where the green, it's the dam, which is on the right-hand side of the 12th as well. Then you've got the 12th, the par 3. And then the 13th is the par 5.
With the water in front of the green.
Yeah, you hit up over the hill and down to the right.
That's a great hole.
You've got the creek along the front of the green with quite a.
That's a nasty green.
It's a nasty green. It's a very, very slopey green from back to front, which has caught out many a golfer over its time. So it's sort of got its own amen corner in those sort of group of holes. So it's whenever I go back there. Because you take things for granted. You don't really notice when you're a kid what's around you. But whenever I go back there, I just stand there and I'm blown away a little bit just by how stunning the golf course is. It's I love it. Every time I go back there, I enjoy it even more.
For sure. And I mean, you mentioned that it was sort of carved out of the old growth forest on the sort of the hinterland above the beaches of Mollymook. And by the way, just as an aside, the beach of Mollymook has got to be one of the most beautiful beaches in Australia. No doubt about it. Sure. It's a stunning spot. So the Hilltop course, as the name suggests, it's sort of up above. It's very close to the beach actually in parts, but it's still on top of, pretty good elevation up above. So you've got some views out to the ocean at times. But the old growth forest that it's carved out of, the trees, like the size of those trees.
Yeah, so some of those gum trees are massive.
Just enormous. And the scale that provides, I always find it messes with your distance perception with figuring out how far away you are because of the size of the trees. You feel like, I think you feel like you're a lot closer than you are or something. It messes with my distance perception.
Yeah,
anyway,
and that's it. I think you always feel as though you're closer to the green and to your target than what you are because of the backdrop of these massive gum trees.
Yeah. So the scale's a bit disproportionate. So, no, that's awesome. So I'm glad that you got back down there and no doubt a round of golf, as we saw in the Missing Links Golf Show podcast Facebook group, a game of golf with Ted from Mollymook, who was looking fantastic with that great plastic 3-iron in his hand. What was going on there?
Yeah, well, that was the second day I was there. We played 9 holes at the Beachside course, so that was the 9-hole. What's now a par 3 course. When I was a junior there, it wasn't a par 3 course. It was they had sort of 5 fairly short par 4s, 3 par 3s, and then a par 5. But they converted it probably, I don't know, 6-7 years ago it would have been now, maybe not quite that long. And they had quite a lot of issues with balls going onto roads and into properties. And I think the insurance costs of keeping the golf course going were just astronomical, as insurance has done over recent times. So they converted it to, well, initially it was 8 par 3s and a par 4. And the par 4 was the 8th hole. And I don't know why they kept that as a par 4, because they were always going to have issues with hitting balls going into the houses along the right-hand side of the 8th. So anyway, they eventually turned that into a par 3 as well. So now it's 9 par 3s. And to be honest with you, I think they've done a really good job with it. They've kept a couple of the old greens. The only thing that I would say, is quite tricky is some of the new greens are basically just on the fairways, and they've just carved a green and put a green
on the
fairways, and they're actually quite slopey. And the greens were reasonably quick, and they were really tricky on Monday, to be honest with you. It was really tricky to get the right speed of them. Yeah, so we went out on the Monday morning. Now, if, as you remember, the last round I had was the comp round at my home club on the 26th of June,
Mm.
and my wrist was a little bit sore. At the end of that round, I had a couple of fairly thin shots that jarred my wrist a little bit, but I thought I'd be okay. I wasn't overly concerned. It certainly wasn't sort of what it was back in February and March. Then I had a couple of sort of sessions in the high performance center. And again, my wrist was a little bit sore at the end, but nothing that I was that concerned about. I actually bought some extra matting and some cushioning for under the hitting mat because I have read and sort of watched a few YouTube videos, and Joe Legowski is actually one of them who had a few issues because he didn't have enough cushioning under his hitting mat. Basically, hitting straight, below the mat was just the slab of concrete, which is sort of the setup that I've always had. And I know he had issues with his elbow joints, and he said that in one of his YouTube videos that he could barely put his elbows on a desk. It was having that much impact. So I've sort of been thinking in the back of my mind that might contribute at least to the issues I've been having with my wrist, and then probably the age of my hitting mat as well.
The age of your hitting mat. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the age of my wrists as well might have something to do with it. But yeah, I've had the hitting mat for probably 18 months or so now, and yeah, it's had a fair bit of use. So I'm thinking about maybe upgrading, or at least sort of getting a hitting strip, which I know Joe Legowski does sell one of them, and there's Kaizen Golf also sell another one. So I'm sort of thinking about upgrading to the just a hitting strip and cutting a piece out of my current hitting mat.
Look, I think it's sensible because at least that way, even if it doesn't do anything, you can rule it out.
Yeah.
It moves you a step further down the path. So I think that's sensible.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, back to Mollymook. When we stood on the first tee, one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about that I didn't realize before we got to the course is that all of the tee boxes we were hitting off mats. So we weren't hitting off grass, we were hitting off mats. And I sort of looked at it and went, yeah, I wasn't overly comfortable with it. But given it's a relatively short course, the most I hit was an 8-iron, and there were multiple wedges that I hit as well. So all I really did was just sort of take 3/4 swings and try and sort of pick the ball off the mat. So, I didn't play particularly well. Certainly the first 5 holes, the first 3 holes, every single tee shot went left and missed the green left. Made 2 bogeys, and then on the second, I actually hit it into the greenside bunker. Left my first one in the bunker and didn't get up and down. So I was 4 over through 3. Then on 4. I hit a really ordinary shot, pitched it past the hole, and then had a really tricky downhill putt, which I then proceeded to 3-putt. So,
ouch.
So I've started off bogey, double, bogey, double. Oh. So yeah, it wasn't the ideal start that I was after. Hit a really good shot into the 5th hole, and then I was probably maybe, I don't know, probably 15 to 18 feet. But again, just 3-putted because of the greens were really tricky. And I had a side hill, sort of downhill putt, which I actually thought I'd left within sort of a foot of the hole, but it just kept rolling about 4 or 5 feet past. And I just missed the returning. But then, the ball striking sort of came back, and 6, 7, 8, 9, I parred. I hit every green, and on the 6th hole, I sort of hit it up near the flag, but it sort of jagged back, about sort of 20 feet. But that was a pretty easy 2-putt. again on 7. I didn't hit a great shot on 7, but it was sort of front left and was just an easy 2-putt. Sort of similar story on 8. And then on the 9th, which is only sort of 70 meters, I actually hit it probably my best shot of the 9, and I just hit my 58 degree and just like drilled it straight at the flag, and it landed right next to the flag and just sort of tailed off to the left. But my putt, I actually hit a really good putt where I wanted to hit it, but it just stayed on the line, didn't take the break that I thought it would. So I ended up with quite an ordinary, what's that, about 7 over, I think
That's,
it was.
7 over by my maths. Yep.
Yeah, for 9 holes. So, look, it wasn't as bad as the first 9 holes that's in the comp round on the 26th of June, but it also was a pretty easy par 3 course where the longest shot I hit was an 8 iron. So
it's not ideal.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
So 7 over.
Yeah.
How'd Ted go?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I
Sounds
don't
like
know
6
if
over
he
to
was
me.
it wasn't. I don't think he was keeping sort of score. We didn't actually talk about sort of scores after that. So he probably would have been about 7 over. I would expect. He may have beaten me by a shot. I may have beaten him by a shot, but. Yeah, I think we were both sort of in our own little worlds and focused on
Ted.
what we were doing.
Let us know. Shoot us a line. I'm curious.
Yep.
So, okay, let's unpack this a little bit. So you've played 9 holes. You've got through the 9 holes. You haven't had full swings. You're not hitting long clubs.
Yes. I mean, my wrist was a little bit sore, but no sorer than what it was from the comp round, and certainly no sorer than what it was when I'd had the couple of swing sessions in the high performance center. So I wasn't overly concerned. It certainly wasn't something that I thought I was going to have to take another break from the game.
Did you get a bit of ice on the wrist after the round, or at least
but I
did
take my
in the hand?
I did take my grips down there and my squeezy ball. So I was doing a little bit of grip work and squeezy ball work down there, but no cold beverages either. I'm trying to stay off the cold beverages, which I may have had a couple of reds with Ted from Mollymook down there. So
a room temperature beverage.
Yeah, a room temperature beverage rather than a cold beverage.
Very good. Okay. So we're 1 round in, warm up. You've reacquainted yourself back to the Mook. What was next?
So back to that plastic club that Ted had in his hand. So after the round, so my 8-year-old daughter is and like she's into anything that she can do with someone. She wants to do, like, I'll go down the shops and she'll want to come down the shops with me. So it's really, really cool. She just wants to be involved in everything, doesn't want to miss out. So she wanted to come down and play golf with us on Monday morning. And it wasn't really appropriate. We were playing with a couple of other guys that Ted knew. So, it wasn't that appropriate for her to come out with us. So there was just this bin for junior golfers, and the plastic golf club was in the bin, and Ted sort of grabbed it out and sort of went, "Oh, this would be really good for your daughter." And I sort of looked at it and went, "Yeah, I think she's got her own set of golf clubs, like a small set, maybe sort of 4 or 5 clubs." But I said, "Yeah, we can do that." And I said, "Oh, how about we take a photo?" Anyway, he's still at the club when we took the photo.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny. But anyway, in the end, we ended up putting that club back, and there was actually a more appropriate metal club that we grabbed for her, and just out the side of Ted's property, we took my daughter out there, and she had a couple of swings with this club just down the side of the property, which was kind of cool.
Nice, very good. Well, that explains that. That was a bit of a mystery. So there you go.
So it wasn't actually Ted's club, but it was a pretty funny moment and funny photo.
Nice.
So anyway, we got through the week, and Friday morning came, and we booked in to play Hilltop on Friday, and this was something that I was really looking forward to. As I said, I really enjoy, even more so as an old bloke, sort of getting down there and playing my old home course. So we teed off about sort of 7:16, I think it was. Warm up in the practice nets, felt okay. No red flags or anything. I decided that I was only going to hit my 3 utility off the tee. And this was mainly because, back in March and April, when my wrist really hurt, it was when I was swinging either my fairway or my driver. And I just thought, you know what, I just want to be safe. I want to make conservative decisions. So I'll just hit my 3 utility off the tee.
So I find that, sorry to jump in, but I find that interesting because I would have thought, like, I get the shaft length obviously gets a bit longer as you go into fairway and driver, but I would have thought the face, like the head, is a little bit more forgiving on a driver than on a long iron.
It's not through impact that's the big issue. It's through it's the transition from the backswing into the downswing, and that loading that you get when your body is sort of starting to go towards the target, yet your hands and the club are moving in the opposite direction, and you're getting a little bit more wrist cock in there. That loading and that pressure, that's what sort of creates the issue. And you're going to get more than that, obviously, with a driver and fairway than what you're going to get with the 3 utility. So, again, I just wanted to make just some conservative decisions around, what I was doing. I didn't really want to, put too much pressure on my wrist.
Fair enough.
So the first 3 holes I played, and again, a little bit of an ordinary start. I bogeyed the first. Mind you, I missed about a 10-foot putt for par, which rolled over the edge of the hole.
Were you playing, starting off 1? Yeah, playing the front nine?
Starting off 1, yes. Yep. So the par 4
still, like,
down the hill.
It's not a gimme, that hole,
No, well, I hit my 3 utility and a 7-iron, and a pretty ordinary 7-iron to the sort of front, sort of left, just short of the green. Pitched up to about 10 feet, and I actually hit a really good putt. I thought I'd made it, but it just held its line and rolled over the lip. On the second, I actually hit a really good tee shot on the second, but I was a bit, because how there's a pretty severe dog leg to the right. I thought I'd hit it past the corner, but in the end I hadn't. So I had to try and sort of manufacture my second shot, and it just didn't move and went sort of left of the left bunker. Still had a shot, again, pitched to about 10 feet and almost carbon copy of 1. I hit a really good putt, but it just rolled over the edge of the hole. So started off bogey. Then we came to the third. Now the third is a bit of a nemesis hole for me. I've never loved the hole, I must admit. And again, you can't hit driver or really a fairway off the tee, especially when you're sort of back and you're off the championship tees. Not that we only played off the whites, but I took my 3 utility and just hit a big roping hook into the left trees. It actually hit the trees hard and ricocheted over to the right-hand side of the fairway.
It's probably not a bad result.
Yeah, so it sort of opened the hole up for me a little bit. I took my 4-iron and I hit, it was in the rough, and it was a bit of a ordinary lie, and I hit an okay 4-iron down the right-hand side of the fairway. Still had a 6-iron in, and probably put my worst swing on the 6-iron, and it just went straight right into the trees and ricocheted back. And I really had no shot at the flag, so I just had to pitch out to the right-hand side of the green. Didn't get up and down, so I actually ended up making a triple bogey 7 on the third, which was very disappointing. 5
over after 3.
Yeah. So I was pretty happy at that stage. So I stood on the 4th tee, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to hit driver.
May as well.
Yeah. So I pulled out driver. And I actually hit a really good drive down the left-hand side of the fairway.
I love
But
it
it
though.
hurt.
I was going to say, I love this. You just, your determination to make sensible decisions, play conservative golf, do all of the right things, have a game plan, stick to your game plan,
Yeah.
is lasted 3 holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
that's awesome.
After a triple bogey.
That's awesome. Which is totally understandable, unless you're the co-host of a podcast, which is supposed to be talking about how to get better at golf.
Yeah. So anyway, and as soon as I hit it, I regretted my decision. Of course, it did hurt, and that transition with a driver, I knew I was in a bit of trouble at that stage, and I went, all right, I'm just going to see how I go. I didn't sort of mention it to anyone. I thought, I'm just going to, try and sort of suck it up and get through the round. I hit an 8 iron to the front of the green and 3 putted for a bogey. So that was a little bit disappointing. On the fifth, the par 3, I hit a really good 8 iron actually to probably about 18 feet, and I hit what I thought was a really good putt, but it just broke a little bit more than what I thought, and just tapped it in for a par. The 6th hole. Now the 6th is the horseshoe par 5, but what they've done, they've put in a temporary green and made the first. They've sort of split it in 2 because they've taken out the 11th hole for maintenance at the moment. So what we did, we played a par 3 to the temporary green, which is sort of where, I don't know if you remember where the toilet blocks are, in between the sort of the 3rd, 4th, and the 6th. So the green's up in there. So I hit a pretty ordinary sort of pull hook 7 iron into the bunker and didn't get up and down for bogey. Then on, what are we on now?
It'll become the 7th now, but it's still the second half of the 6th.
Yeah. So on the well, it's the shot into the green, really. So it's 240 meters. And it's a par 4 on the card, and I was going to hit my 3 utility. I sort of walked up there thinking, oh yeah, I'm just going to hit my 3 utility, but my 3 utility wouldn't have actually made it over. You know how there's a dam probably 100 meters short of the green?
Yep.
My 3 utility wouldn't have made it over the dam. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to hit my driver again. Hit a big roping hook driver into the trees, which they're sort of out of bounds down there. I didn't play a provisional and just got down there, couldn't find my ball. I mean, you know what, I'm just walking to the next tee.
Yep.
So, that's potentially, double, maybe triple on that hole as well. But at the end of the day, it was a social round, so I wasn't sort of that concerned. My wrist was getting a little bit sore. It wasn't the drive. My wrist wasn't as sore as what it was from the 4th hole, my tee shot on the 4th, but I could feel it starting to get sore. But I just wanted to get through the round and just see how it sort of went through, the remaining holes. So on the 7th, which was our 8th hole, I've actually hit quite a good 3 utility down the right-hand side of the fairway. So it opened up the green. So it's a dogleg left par 4.
Yeah, you're coming in over the water at the sort of little creek.
Over the creek. Now, I mean, the creek's not really in play for
shouldn't be
a reasonable handicap. I mean, it's probably maybe 60, 70 meters short of the. It's
all dependent on your tee shot though, because if your tee shot's a bit left, then you're blocked out, and then you kind of
correct.
Then you got problems.
And the best shot there is just to pitch down to the end of the fairway and pitch across to the green rather than taking the water on. My approach shot into the green was probably the best shot I hit for the week. Hit a really good 6 iron to about 12 feet and hold the putt for birdie. So I thought, okay,
nice.
that's
so from memory that's a bit of a tricky green too. See,
yeah, it is. It sort of slopes from back to front, and certainly if you're on the left-hand side of the flag, it's a reasonable and getting towards the back of the green as well. It's flatter on the front of the green. The pin was probably halfway back, so there was a little bit of slope there. wasn't too much, but I just hit a really good putt. Never looked like going anywhere else but in the middle of the hole, so I was pretty happy with that. So we stood on the 8th tee, which was our 9th hole, and the 8th is that really long par 5 all the way up the hill.
Just nasty.
From the back, it's like 515 meters. So what's that? Sort of 560 yards, 570 yards, maybe
something like that. But it's all uphill.
It's all uphill. It's a long way up there.
And it's Kikuyu, so there's no run.
Yeah, it's all Kikuyu as well. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to hit my 3 utility. Just stick to the game plan. And I was halfway through my backswing, and I just started thinking about my wrist, and in my downswing I just pulled up. Like I just had this not a feeling of dread, but I was just really worried about my wrist, and I just pulled up and I hit a cold top down the fairway, and that was probably the worst thing I could have done, because that really hurt. The jarring of hitting a cold top just really hurt my wrist, and I pulled my right hand off the club, and actually Ted sort of looked at me and went, "Was that your wrist?" And I went, "Yeah, it is." And he said, what are you going to do?" And I said, I don't know. I might have to pick up, or I'll just see how we go. So we walked up the fairway, and it started to feel a little bit better. And I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna see how I go, and not make a decision. I still wanted to complete the round, but I also didn't want to do anything sort of more to my wrist. So I hit 2 reasonably good 3 utilities up the fairway. Now I was never going to get to the green in 3 after cold topping my tee shot. And then I hit a pitch to the front of the green, which sort of jagged back to right on the fringe, and then 3 putted for an easy double bogey. So I walked to the 9th tee, which was our 10th hole, going, yeah, look, I'm not convinced that carrying on is the best thing for me. I wanted to play out through the night, or through our 10th hole. And I actually hit a really good, it's a par 3, back to the clubhouse, and I hit a really good 6-iron to probably 18 feet. And again, a really good putt that just didn't sort of take the breakers I thought it would, but it was pretty much a gimme par 3, and just tapped in. So I said to the guys, I said, look, I want to continue, but I don't really want to take the risk. So I actually put my clubs back in the car, and I walked the last 8 holes. So Ted, kept playing with our 2 playing partners, and I basically just walked the last 8 holes, which, was disappointing from a golf perspective, but the good thing from just a general sort of viewpoint is that it gave me the opportunity to just take in the golf course and take in the surrounds, especially sort of down around that Amen corner and back up to the top of the hill through the sort of 14th, 15th, 16th. It was really spectacular, and I really enjoyed just walking around. I remember when I was a junior walking around the course watching Brett Ogle play in a pro-am, and I don't think I've walked around the course since then. So it was really, really cool just to walk around the course and take it all in. However, obviously the disappointing thing is that, I'm now in a position where I probably need to take a little bit of time out and find out what's going on with my wrist to get a permanent solution, because it's a bit of a worry, to be honest with you.
It's a big worry. It is. Like, the concern is just not knowing what really is the problem. And obviously you had your ultrasound and had scans done, and that was relatively inconclusive. Yeah,
I had an X-ray done, and I had an ultrasound done, and didn't show anything. The ultrasound showed a little bit of inflammation through, and you've got like, I don't know how many bones it is through that part of your wrist, but it's a significant number of bones. There wasn't any fractures. There wasn't anything untoward. There was just a little bit of inflammation in and around, the ligaments and tendons that you've got in your wrist. So that was, it was inconclusive, and to be honest with you, I don't know where to go next with it.
Has there been any talk of an MRI or any further investigation like that?
No, and I haven't really gone down that path yet. I mean, it's only been a few days since I've been back from Mollymook, so it's really sort of back into work and catching up on work. So I really need to, just put together a bit of a plan and maybe try and find some answers. Because at the moment it's, I think it might be, the hitting mat and potentially, the jarring from not having enough cushioning. But again, I'm having a bit of a guess, so I don't know.
So I was having this thought whilst I was listening to you tell the story, okay? The thing that's intriguing to me is that the pain that you're getting during the round is on the load at the transition at the top of the swing, not at impact.
Yep.
Now, I just logically find that strange if it's an impact created injury from the hitting mat, that the pain's not at impact with what is creating the injury, if you know what I mean. I hope that makes sense. But
yeah. But I mean, the way I look at it is that with the jarring through impact, and effectively, I mean, there's a little bit of cushioning underneath the hitting mat, but then it's just a slab of concrete. With that jarring, that repetitive jarring, injury, potentially, it isn't, it won't say show up through impact through that hitting zone and the the club striking the ball, but it may show up at the top of my swing just through and sort of like an RSI type injury, where it just has an inflammation and some swelling potentially through those tendons and ligaments that I've got in my wrist. So I think I can sort of see the link, but again, I'm just having a bit of a guess as to whether that's actually accurate or not.
Yeah, and that's where I think knowledge is power on this one, because when did this start? This was pre-Macquarie Cup, so we're talking.
Yeah. So it sort of started. It started off probably around February, March. When I started, because I took a little bit of time off over sort of Christmas, New Year, because that's when we were doing a fair bit of work on our previous property to get it ready for, to sell. And then it was more sort of February, towards the end of February, when I was getting ready for the New South Wales Senior Amateur that it started hurting. So whether I've done something. Right.
So it was at the Senior Amateur then when you had the plug line, the bunker that really flared.
Yep. So whether something happened through that time, I don't remember there being an event as such that where I sort of went, that apart from obviously the plug lie that I had in the bunker, but my wrist was already a little bit sore prior to that anyway. So that was sort of more, the end result rather than I think the start of it. I don't know. I'm just, I'm at a bit of a loss at the moment.
Yeah, it's not good because like in that time period between, when that took place sort of in February, March, because the Senior Am was first week of March. So really from then to now, where are we? April, May, June, July. Yeah, so we're at about nearly 4 months really, 4 and a bit months.
Yep.
You haven't played a lot of golf in that period.
No.
You would have thought that an injury would have had every chance to heal. I mean, obviously going to the high performance center is potentially aggravating things, but I don't know. Like, I feel like MRI's got to be on the cards, Andy Walker.
Yeah, it's something that I probably need to pursue in the coming weeks and just see where it goes, I guess. Just try and find some answers. I mean, I've put together a bit of a plan as to what I think I should do, certainly from a activity perspective. But yeah, again, I'm having a bit of a guess as to what may or may not work, and what would, may or may not aid my recovery.
Well, see, on the original plan for what we were going to talk about in this episode, the second half was all going to be about your recovery plan and your strategy from this point forward. But my problem with this is that to really develop...
It's based on a guess.
Yeah. To develop a good recovery plan, you need to know what the injury is and ideally what's caused it. We don't know the answer to either of those two questions at the moment.
Yeah. And certainly the scans that I've got at the moment haven't really shown anything. So there needs to be something, I guess, something more there's something.
Look, there's something going on, right? Like the wrist is not as it should be.
Yeah.
It's causing pain and it's creating, it's causing difficulty with swinging the club. So that's not normal. There's got to be something going on. We need to find out what it is. Otherwise, the other option is that we move to the Missing Links darts show.
Well, I was thinking lawn bowls.
Okay.
No?
We could. Yeah. I just worry about the knees or the lower back with all that bending down for the lawn bowling.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've so far had like my rib cartilage, and
I know.
That may go again. So
it's a concern, Andy Walker. I mean, these are the realities of chasing middle-aged sporting glory. It's fraught with injury risk. So
it is.
But I think I do think this is a question that needs to be answered. So I don't know. What do you think? How are we going to tackle this? Because we can't go on with you continuing to just get out there for half a round and then succumb to injury and walk off the course. I just don't think the Pilgrims are going to stand for that.
No. And look, I mean, the plan that I had, which was basically just around, a few weeks of rest, then, using my hand grips and the squeezy ball for, strengthening, taking some time to work on my physical fitness as well, because as you know, I've stacked on a few kilos over the last 18 months.
In fairness, okay, you're not alone, but not to that magnitude. Just
as a side note, Pilgrims, I almost cracked the ton there when I came back from Mollymook. I've actually now had a couple of workouts, so I've shed a little bit of that, but geez, it was close.
It's so good. It's so good. For those in the non-metric world, that is the ton, 100 kgs, that would equate to 220 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a good effort. It's a good effort, particularly for a bloke that's only 5'6".
What? Come on, mate. I'm not 6 foot. I'm a little bit under 6 foot, but I think I'm about 5'11" and a half or something. I never got to that 6 foot.
Yeah, I think we're pretty similar on that front, to be honest. That's gold. Yeah. So good. Yeah. Okay.
So then again, I was going to get the hitting mat insert just to see if that sort of made a difference. And then sort of for the first few weeks, just focusing on putting, and you know how I was doing like those swing movements and positions that we were talking about. I was really focused on just sort of, getting into certain positions, sort of shadow, sort of mirror sort of swinging. just doing that. And then based on how I was recovering, moved to sort of short game and wedges, short irons, and then eventually sort of long irons, fairways and driver. But, you're right. At the end of the day, say I'm halfway through that and I get to start, hitting long irons again and the wrist goes, then I'm back to square one.
I know. And this is my concern. Like all of the strategies that you've talked about and all of those things, they're all good. Like none of them are a bad idea. They're all sensible and they're all good ways of dealing with it. So there's no argument from that. But the underlying issue is this has been going on now for 4 months.
Yep.
And that's not a good sign. Like that's a pretty long-term issue.
Yeah, it is.
And I just think given that we've, feels like we're 2 steps forward, 3 steps back a lot of the time with this recovery program. You just need to know, like what's going on. And if the other scans haven't showed anything, then I'm pretty confident that an MRI would, because it.
So what's and forgive my ignorance here, but what's the difference between an MRI and say an ultrasound?
Right. So here we go, Dr. Hinks. This is a scary step off. So an MRI will image everything the whole way through with a huge amount of detail, and you can kind of like cut all the different layers and look at, kind of scan through the whole thing. So it'll show everything, bones, ligaments, whatever you want to look at. You just get a huge amount of information, whereas the ultrasound is just much less information to deal with. That's as technical as I'm going to get on that because that's not my area of expertise. But the MRI is kind of the gold standard of imaging in terms of the information that it can provide to to your doctor to try and diagnose something. So it is more expensive generally. An ultrasound, an X-ray, you might pay. If it's not covered by Medicare or your insurance, you might pay, I don't know, $100, $150 for it. Your MRI, you're probably looking at about $400 or $500 for an MRI. But the amount of detail that you'll get is, and there might be something small that is missed in an X-ray, because an X-ray is really going to show you the
it's
hard
more bone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the hard stuff inside you. It will. Like I think the doctors can identify a little bit of muscular issue through an X-ray, probably to the connection points with bones and stuff. But then the ultrasound, sort of more for soft tissue stuff. The MRIs can show you everything.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And in a lot more detail. So I would think it's a sensible option.
That's the next step.
Yeah, and I think if you go through that, it's got to tell you something, because if you're going through. Nothing really, because what I'm jumping around, but like what's interesting to me when I listen is that you're talking about the ultrasound showed a bit of inflammation. So inflammation is a response to something. Yep. It's the body protecting a part of itself from an injury or from further damage. So what is it that it's protecting from? Like
protecting itself.
What's the issue there? So that might be what the MRI will identify and show you, because there's got to be something that's not quite right for inflammation to occur.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So that could be that's probably the next logical step, I guess, in the investigation as to what this could be, because I don't really want to guess again, which is sort of where we're at. And I really, and we started this whole sort of pilgrimage so we could actually play more golf and
that's right.
Get into the competitive side of senior amateur golf, and I sort of feel as though I just haven't done that. Well, it's not that I don't feel as though I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
Well, you were getting there though. You were getting there like late last year, prior to the rib injury. Probably, I think it was the first half of last year, really. When you played and carded a few really good rounds, like around par and just under par, and things were looking really good. Yeah. And then obviously you had time out due to the the sternum, the rib cartilage, and then this year the wrist. I feel like the byproduct, the positive or the silver lining to the wrist cloud potentially is it's given you a chance to rest the rib cartilage and the sternum a little bit and actually get that back where it needs to be. So that's good.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, that hasn't been, I haven't even really thought about that for best part of 9 months.
Yeah. But it has had more time to heal is my point, which is, let's say that's a good outcome out of all of this rubbish. But the problem with the wrist, and then the issue is if it's continuously recurring, that's when you start doing, kind of long-term damage. Yeah. Which you don't want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I think you need to find out.
All right.
It's back to the doctor, Andy Walker.
MRI?
I think so. I just don't think you have another choice. I think you need to know, because otherwise all these other things that you're doing, they're in the hope that it heals itself and it doesn't flare up again. But you just don't know because you don't know what's causing it.
Yep. Yep. Yes. Lots to consider, but yeah, it's a bit of a worry, and as we've said, we need some answers.
I think so, because it might be something which is relatively easily fixed as well, that can get you back on the path. Whether there's a small surgery that's required, or whether it is a cast and an immobilisation, or whether it's a particular exercise program, or whatever the case may be. There might be a lot of different ways to solve it, but you just don't know until you can do it. Like there are, you're right. Like there's a lot of complexity in the wrist joint. It's not a simple joint. There's a number of different small bones in there and ligaments and things like that, cartilages and all the rest of it.
Yeah, and that's what when I saw when I was talking to the physio initially about this injury, that's what he said. He showed me a picture of all the little bones that you've got in your wrist, and it makes sense given you can move your wrist in a circular motion. In order to facilitate that motion, you've got to have a lot of joints in there. So. It makes sense that there's a lot of little bones and little fragments and in there, but that also means that a lot can go wrong as well.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like the motion of your golf swing, you're rotating your wrist probably in about at least 3 different axes. From cocking to rotating and pronating and. All the wrong words, but it's moving in a pretty complex fashion. So any one of those things could be aggravating something. It's hard to know. Yeah. And I certainly think, that transition at the top of your swing is probably, what puts the most pressure on the thumb. On your wrists, because, that when your hands and the golf club is moving away from your target, yet your body's starting to transition and move towards your target, that puts a huge amount of pressure on that part of your body. So it also makes sense to me that's, if I was going to have an issue with my wrist, that's where it would occur. I think that makes sense. I think either there or at impact, which is where you...
At impact, yeah.
Yeah, where you've got that force returning through the shaft of the club. If there are any doctors, any orthopedic surgeons, physios or anything like that listening to the show, please jump in, because we are clearly out of our depth at this point.
Yeah.
But trying to solve the problem. I think you need expert opinion on this one, Andy Walker.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no question. We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to get you back out there playing golf.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And my whole year, my 2025, because I thought after my recovery through April, May, and the first part of June, I thought, I'm good, and I should be able to start doing some practice again and start playing some decent golf through the back end of the year. But again, that's sort of gone out the window and back to square one.
Yeah, which is frustrating, super frustrating. especially given the fact that every week you've got to get on and talk about the fact that you still can't play golf. Like, that's got to be wearing pretty thin, if you ask me.
Yeah, wearing thin with me and wearing thin, I'm sure, with the Pilgrims. But at least you can play some golf.
Yes, and we will talk about that in the next episode because there is a round of golf to unpack. But we're not talking about that tonight. So I don't know where to from here. Short term thinking, long term thinking.
Well,
back to the doctor's office.
Yeah, I'm gonna, as soon as we jump off recording, I'm gonna have a look and see if I can book in to see my doctor. I've got to go down to Sydney tomorrow, so my doctor is in Sydney, so I'll see if I can get in to see him tomorrow, at least to get an initial assessment and see what he reckons. If I can't get in tomorrow, I might have to make a telehealth call or appointment and speak to him over the phone, which again is fine.
That would be okay.
Yeah, and then hopefully get in to get an MRI or at least have him provide some advice on what he believes is the next step from here. I think that's sort of step one, and then sort of steps 2, 3, 4, and so on is quite dependent on that.
Yeah. So quite often, like your doctors will go, "Oh, we don't want to go too hard on the diagnostics just at the moment. If you're okay in your general life and you can still work and you can still do these sorts of things, then we'll just give it time." I think the angle is that, look, I'm a professional amateur golfer, and
I'm an international podcaster that relies on golf. My professional amateur golf to
So
to continue with the podcast.
I need to get back on the course, and I need to get this sorted just to make sure that sense of urgency is there. But I think if you're kind of clear about, look, this has been going for 4 months now, and it's just not acceptable. We've got to get to the bottom of it. It should be okay.
Yep. And look, I've already. I mean, he's been okay with the X-ray and with the ultrasound. So the next step of an MRI, if that hasn't worked, if that hasn't provided any answers, then I don't think it's sort of too much of a leap forward to get an MRI as well.
Yeah, and if that shows you nothing, then it's clearly mental. So
I'm telling you, it's not mental. Certainly when I cold top the 3 utility off the tee, that's
that was mental. Maybe that was totally mental.
That was the cold top was the mental bit, but the feeling afterwards wasn't.
Yeah, no, it's not good. You got to get it sorted. Absolutely, no question. That's what we're doing.
Anyway, step one, back to step one. Go to the doc.
Yeah.
See, get some professional advice.
Yep. So in future episodes, we want to hear what's going on. We want to know that there's progress. And we want to see some MRI imaging up on the Facebook page.
Okay. Well, if I get access to it.
You usually do. You get an app these days that you can actually.
Yeah, and I do have. I got the ultrasound and the X-ray images on the app. So that usually is available.
Yeah, because I had one done years ago when I tore ligaments in my ankle in my last ever game of touch football.
Yep,
that was a career ender, and that was awesome to look at that. Like you can scan through the whole image of. In this case, it was like a foot from like the outside, like through every layer imaginable through.
Yeah, right.
It's really cool. Yeah, definitely recommend it. It's a bit of fun. It's not fun.
I don't know whether fun is the right word, but
But if you get the answer, then that's what
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, very good. Wow. Well, that was a bit of an emotional journey, Andy Walker.
Yeah, it's a bit of a worry, but hopefully we'll be able to get to the bottom of it with some professional advice.
Yeah, it's not the outcome we wanted. I'll be honest. It is somewhat disappointing, but we're onwards and upwards, and we'll be on the way forward. And next episode, Pilgrims, we are actually going to talk about full rounds, completed rounds of golf, and that is exciting.
What's that again?
That is exciting. So, just as a tease, that that was my competition round from the weekend just past now. So it'll be a couple of weeks by the time the episode goes to air. And I just to set the scene for you, Andy Walker, that I was going into this round of golf with after the New South Wales Mid-Am, and I had a couple of good rounds drop out the bottom of my 20. My handicap had bounced up to 9.5.
Ooh, okay.
And I wasn't particularly happy about that. Now, the interesting thing is before the round just played, I had another flag round about to drop out the bottom end of my 20, and it was a 7.3.
Yep.
And the next lowest round that wasn't a flag round that if I didn't replace it would drop in would be an 11.8. And if you do the maths on that, that would take the 9.5 up to a 10.0.
That's not good.
So we're not going to talk about outcomes, but we're just going to say that the preparation for this round was staring down the barrel of drifting out of single digits for the first time.
It's not ideal.
For the first time since all of the battles in the front end of the Missing Links Golf Show of trying to get into single digits. So, Pilgrims, if that doesn't intrigue you and whet the appetite for listening to that episode to see what happens, then I don't know what will. Well, I mean, if anyone else is interested in my handicap as much as I am.
Well, I look forward to listening to it because that does sound intriguing.
All I can say is emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, been on one or two of those over the last little while.
So anyway, that's next episode. But thank you for listening. Thank you, Andy Walker, for sharing your tale. And certainly, whilst the outcome was not great risk-related, it's fantastic to just reminisce about Mollymook Hilltop Golf Course because there's not many.
And that was certainly the highlight of my trip down there, just, getting out there to play and experience Mollymook again. As I said at the start of the show, if anyone's got the chance to play while they're down the coast, it's about 3 hours south of Sydney. Just need to get out and play because it truly is one of the best courses on the coast.
100%. And whilst people are preparing to play Mollymook, or even after they've played Mollymook, Andy Walker, is there any advice for what you think that they should do?
What, apart from a cold beverage or even a room temperature beverage?
Well, yeah, probably apart from that, yeah. Maybe whilst doing that.
Whilst doing that?
Yeah.
Well, there's only one thing to do whilst doing that.
Which is what?
Rock out, Pilgrims.
I like it. Thanks for listening to us today. We love hearing from our pilgrims, so please reach out to us through any of the links in the show notes. We know golf is hard, so we hope we can help you shoot better scores and inspire you to keep trying. Rock on, Pilgrims.